Hello, we are live. Lee, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. I know that you are in the other side of the world, so it's not so easy to find this kind of moments that we are both in action. So thank you very much, Lee.
Well, it's a real pleasure, Jesus, and thank you so much for inviting me to come on again. We really love our friends at Crypto Plaza, so it's really great to talk to you again, and I'm really excited to introduce the version 2 of our protocol to everyone today.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. We have been even doing the testnet. We were the competition in the testnet competition. Right now, this is another testnet competition. But before entering the B2, what are the? Well, I am also using B1. I have some position in B1, so it's not. I don't know if you are going to close or not. Right now, I think in the interface is not really fully sized anymore. But what are the main conclusions of version one? What are the next step in version one? I know that we are going to move to version two, but what we can do, because I love really version one. So yeah, sometimes it's difficult to move to another version.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, luckily version 1 is still working fine. So you can, to access version 1, you can go directly to perp.exchange. If you go to perp.exchange, then you'll see version 1 is there and still working fine on XDAI. And of course, XDAI has very cheap gas fees, so it's still the cheapest place to trade perpetuals, cheaper than V2 actually. V2 is on Optimism, and Optimism is maybe faster than XDAI and has some different security trade-offs. So it could be considered a little bit more secure possibly, but the transaction fees are higher because you are paying a part of the transaction fee on Ethereum layer 1 as well every time you make a transaction. So V1 is still there, still running, and it will be running, I'm sure, for at least a few months, maybe longer. We don't really have a solid plan right now for V1. It will just continue running as it is. We don't plan to add any new tokens to V1, unfortunately. We're really focused right now on V2, adding new tokens to V2 and new features on V2. But if you're a fan of V1, definitely continue using it. It will be there. But at the same time, I would recommend, if you're using V1, pay attention to our announcements and Twitter, and if possible, join our Discord as well to get the latest. Because if there are any changes coming up for V1, we will announce there with plenty of time in advance, so you can prepare to migrate your position somewhere else if you want to, or make preparations that you need.
Anyway, I love really version 2. We write an article that we translate from V2. There are really very important updates in version 2. I think, very good job. You have added a lot of also crypto actives to the derivative. But and you are also, and there are also competition, a lot of competition right now in the space, no? Because right now you are one of the biggest of this competition. But I think in terms of derivatives in AMM, probably you are the leader right now, no?
In terms of, for AMM, we're the leader as far as I know. There are many competitions. There's trading competitions and also competition between different projects. So I can just, on the side, let everyone know that we just finished the trading competition. So if you're watching this, it's a little bit late, but there will be more in the future. Now, as far as competitors go, there are lots of competitors out there. The sort of most famous competitor that we have is DYDX.
Yeah.
And there's some pretty different trade-offs in terms of decentralization and also the way that the platform works. DYDX is an order book model. So if you're more used to order book, it's possible that DYDX might be more familiar to you. If you're more familiar with Uniswap or AMM style exchanges, then Perpetual Protocol will probably be more interesting to you, especially for the liquidity providing. I won't really talk a lot about providing liquidity on Perpetual Protocol today. It does work quite a bit like providing liquidity on Uniswap v3, but there are some very important differences. So I'll probably just touch on some of the differences during the demo later, but I won't go into a lot of detail because it's quite difficult and complicated, and it's still everyone's still trying to figure out, how to make money doing this. There's sort of different impermanent loss compared to Uniswap v3. So I don't recommend it for like casual users. If you're like a really advanced liquidity provider, then it might be a good option. But otherwise, I wouldn't really recommend it for just casual LPs at the moment.
No, trading is amazing, but I think the most critical and I think more innovative thing right now in version 2 is liquidity providing this. I have been testing for 1 month. Yes, I have. I love it really, and it would be great to see your insights and what is happening. So, do you want to share the screen?
Sure.
So, but this, I think, doing liquidity in derivatives, I think for me is amazing. It's like, if you think really Uniswap, you can be profitable in Uniswap. Derivatives have a lot of more volume, a lot of more fees. So it's like it's more potential to provide liquidity in derivatives.
There's definitely a lot of potential. Yes, there's a higher volume, and you can provide liquidity with leverage. So that's very interesting. But at the same time, any profit that you make, you can use leverage. But if you have a loss, then there's also leverage applied to that.
I know.
So you definitely have to be careful.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll just I'll start the screen sharing. Just give me a moment. All right.
Perfect. Here. And
Okay,
the thing is that you are doing even with a lot of tokens that are not in Ethereum's native projects. So really, really also very important things. Yeah.
Yeah, at the very beginning, we focused on, obviously we have the Ethereum and Bitcoin as the two top coins. But besides that, we focused on the coins that are not available on Ethereum, just like you said. So we have Avalanche, Solana, and Luna, and we'll be adding more very soon in the future. So yeah, going forward, we'll be really focusing on launching new coins. Right now, we've only have 6 markets, but we really want to build this portfolio of markets up so people have lots of options for trading. In addition, the next feature that we're working on is multi-collateral. So for V1, you can only
one question,
use...
one question. You sometimes talk about permissionless derivatives in terms that you can really create other kind of assets. Are you planning to do some kind of permissionless? Because that's what was amazing in Uniswap, no? Are you thinking about that, or you are going always to determine where are the assets that are going to be in the platform?
Yes, we do plan to have this permissionless market creation ability, but that's we're still in the research phase, and could take another maybe 6 months before we have that available. So we're not ready to launch that yet, but it's definitely something that we plan to do. And I agree that in DeFi, this is probably one of the most powerful abilities is to allow anybody to create a market. Like on Uniswap, that's a really powerful tool. So we think that if we can bring that to Perpetual Protocol as well, then it would be extremely powerful.
So we will have the futures of socks. Do you know the socks in Uniswaps?
Yes.
So probably you will have the future of socks. It's like the same step. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you can imagine that there will be stocks or commodities like gold and oil and any kind of foreign exchange. There'll be like you'll be able to trade euro and all kinds of other different currencies on there. So that would definitely be something to look forward to in the future. But it's a fairly complicated thing. Like we've been working on that actually for about a year already. Looking at different ways that we could do this in a safe way, and also in a way that will leverage or improve the tokenomics of the perp token. So that's also an important aspect. So those are things that we're really working on, that we will be working on after the multi-collateral feature that I mentioned earlier. So another very often requested feature is multi-collateral. So right now, only USDC can be used as collateral. And a lot of people want to be able to use ETH as collateral or Bitcoin or other tokens. This also ties into another major part of our V2, which is to integrate with other projects. And when we're integrating with other projects, those other projects also would like to be able to use different collateral types to open trades on our platform. And that would really expand our ability to integrate with other projects. So our key focus right now for development is multi-collateral and adding the ability to use different collateral types to open positions. If you don't have any other questions, I'll introduce our version 2
Yes, about the
UI.
About the multi-collateral,
Sure.
as you're talking about that, if you have different kind of collaterals, how you are going to manage that? You are going to have like all the margin is the same, but you are going to select one asset, or how is going to work? Can you have two collaterals?
It will work. We will basically build it modeled on the FTX system. So FTX, as I understand it, you can use different assets as a collateral, and then based on the value of that collateral, you will have some USD to trade with. So all the trades will still be based on US dollar, but the actual collateral that you're using to back those trades can be in different forms.
Different forms, okay. Understand.
Yeah.
This is very, very interesting, yeah, because you can have your assets and you can use futures, yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost like you go to Aave, you use your ETH to borrow USDC, and then you use the USDC to open a trade, except you don't need to pay the interest, as far as I know. Anyway, basically it will work just like FTX. That's our current plan, is to model it on FTX. So if you're familiar with the FTX perpetual markets and the way that the collateral works, then you'll be very familiar with how it works on us as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
No problem. It's a great question. All right. So for our, as we discussed earlier, the version 1 is at perp.exchange, and for version 2, we are using app.perp.com. So if you go to app.perp.com, you will see a website that you see right here. And the first step would be to connect your wallet. I've actually already connected my wallet. Let's see. And since it's on Optimism, when you connect your wallet, if you are not connected to the Optimism network, you'll actually see. Just a moment. That's weird. Anyway, I guess if I click connect, okay.
Yeah.
Once I connect, it will ask me to switch to a different network, and now I'm connected via Optimism.
Perfect.
All right. And since it's on Optimism, you will need to have Ethereum and USDC on Optimism in order to start trading. So if you click on this transfer and deposit button, it will actually give you some options for transferring USDC and ETH to Optimism. And depending on where you have your funds, there are a variety of different bridges you can use for transferring. And actually, there's even more bridges than are mentioned here. The number of bridges have increased a lot in the recent months. So there's a lot of different options, and recommend using the one that you are most familiar with. Or you can just come to our Discord and ask for advice on which is the best option for you. We'll be happy to help you out with that. At the same time, it's good to keep in mind that bridges are DeFi projects like any other, and before you use it, you should really check, do some research and look into the project and make sure that there hasn't been a hack or any other issues. There's hacks in DeFi all the time, so it's always a good idea before you use any bridge. Go on Twitter, do a search for the project name, like Hop Exchange or Hop Protocol or Xpollinate. See what people are saying in the latest tweets, and to make sure that there's nothing going on that would cause a problem. Like for example, this O3 swap did have an issue a few months ago. So it's always a good idea just to go and check out, make sure the project is still running safely before you use it. And definitely try different bridges. For example, hop exchange sometimes is better for a small amount, and xpollinate is better for a bigger amount, and things like that. So, if you see a bad exchange rate on one bridge, try a different bridge. Just enter the amount you want to bridge and see if it gives you a better rate, and you may be surprised. And like I say, you will need to have ETH on Optimism. ETH is used for paying gas, so you'll definitely need to have some ETH on Optimism. And I guess you could potentially save some fees depending on how much you want to buy by transferring ETH and then going to Uniswap on Optimism and transfer the ETH into USDC. That could be another way to save some gas for yourself. All right, so once you've transferred the funds, I won't actually demonstrate the transfer. It's a fairly simple thing to bridge over. So once you've transferred your funds into Optimism, the next step would be to click on this card here, which is for deposit and withdrawal. And go ahead and click on deposit. I'll just deposit everything I have in my wallet right now. If you've never done any transactions on a rollup like Optimism, you will notice some weird things in MetaMask. Now there's two different types of gas fee you need to pay. One is the layer 2 gas, which you'll see is like extremely, extremely low. It's paid in ETH, but it's a very small amount. And there's the layer 1 fee, which is also paid in ETH. It's a bigger amount. And basically this is shared among all the users right now of Optimism. And it will pay to send the transactions to ETH for final validation. So it usually costs, actually it's a little bit low right now, but usually it costs, somewhere between $2 and $5, depending on the amount of traffic on the mainnet, Ethereum mainnet. So I'll go ahead and confirm that. Transactions on Optimism tend to be very fast, so you'll notice that confirmed really quickly. If it's your first time using it, obviously you'll have to approve the use of USDC first. I've already approved it, so I didn't have to do that step. And for Perpetual Protocol version 2, we now use cross margin. So on version 1, we used isolated margin, and on version 2, we're using cross margin. So these funds that you see here, this free collateral or account value, it represents all of the collateral that you can use to open trades on or open positions on any of the markets. So all of the positions that you open will use the same pool of collateral. You won't use different collateral for each position, so unlike version 1. So it's very important to keep track of your account value and the amount of free collateral you have, because this will relate to the amount of leverage that you're using. But I'll get into that in a second. So let's just open a position on Ethereum just to show you how to do it. You can choose any of these markets, and we'll open up the screen, including the chart and the order panel where you can submit if you want a long or a short position. If you're not familiar with the perpetual contracts, then it's a good idea to either check out our documentation, or you can check out perpetual contract introduction from like Binance, FTX, or Deribit, or another exchange. There's lots of information on the internet about how perpetual contracts work. The sort of basic main principles are the mark price, which is the price of the contract, and the index price, which is the price of the underlying asset. So in Ethereum, this would be the price of Ethereum on, we get this price from Chainlink, and for Bitcoin and Ethereum, we get the price from Chainlink, and for the other markets, we get the price from Band Protocol. So these this index price is gathered from a variety of different exchanges. If you're interested in knowing where this price comes from, you can just check out the price feed on Chainlink to see where they get the price from. It comes from a variety of different sources and it's aggregated together. And so the mark price is the actual price of the contract, of the derivative contract on the Perpetual Protocol exchange. And so you'll notice that actually right now the mark price, the price on our exchange, is below the index price. Now, there's a mechanism which will encourage traders to move this mark price closer to the index price, and that's called the funding payment. And the funding payment basically is based on the difference between these two values. So right now, because the price is too low, so this is the funding rate as an estimate for the hour. So even though right now actually the mark price is below, the funding rate is actually incentivizing people to open more shorts. But a very special aspect of Perpetual Protocol version 2 is that the funding rate is calculated per block. So that's per Ethereum block. So about every 12 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds. So actually, this is just an estimate, and the actual price you'll be paying is based on is calculated every roughly 10 to 15 seconds. So if I open a position right now, and if I open a long position, then I will be earning the funding rate. Whereas if I open a short position that moves this price even farther away from the index price, then I will be paying that funding rate. Okay, so you can see the funding rate did update finally here to show that if you open a long position, then you will earn the funding rate. So I want to earn that funding rate. So I'm going to open a position, a long position, and you have several options about how to set the value of your position. You can set the value in ETH, or you can set the value in USDC, or finally you can use this slider to just use a percentage of your funds available for trading. Now you'll notice in the overview that my account value and free collateral is only about 980, but over here in my buying power, I'm actually able to use up to $9,853. Now the reason is, as soon as you put in, let's say you put in $1,000, you will be given 10x that amount. So you'll be given $10,000 to trade with. So if I use all of this, then that would be 10x leverage. Or if I use half of it, then that would be 5x leverage. So you definitely want to be very careful when you're using this slider. Don't be too crazy and immediately go up to 80% or something. Pro traders are definitely trading more like 20 to 30%, 2 to 3x leverage max. Anything above that, especially in crypto where it's very volatile, puts you at a pretty high risk. So unless you really know what you're doing, or you're making some YOLO trades, I would highly recommend you stay in the 2 to 3x leverage range. All right, so I'll be a little bit more conservative today and just open the 2x leverage using only 20% of my buying power.
One question, Lee, about the funding rate is really, really interesting. In the version 2, there was a lot of times where funding rate was negative. That is not so common in the traditional future markets. And here also, why do you think in this kind of markets, or in Perpetual, happens more frequently than in other kind of markets? Is that case?
Well, for V1, that's a very special case. Actually, in V2, as far as I know, most of the time the funding rate is negative, which is sort of the more, positive. The funding rate is positive, which is the more common situation in perpetual markets in crypto. We don't show the history directly on this website at the moment. We are adding some more tools for showing funding rates, but there is a dashboard created by a team member where you can see like the funding rate history over time. And according to the last time I looked at it, most of the time the funding is positive. So V2 and V1 are different in that aspect. For V1, this has a very unusual design, and that is what causes the funding to be negative most of the time. I don't know if you want me to get into the details about it, but basically the reason is for V1, the liquidity is a fixed amount, and because it's based on an AMM model, in order to increase the price or decrease the price, you must have an open interest that is open all the time. So people must, let's say that at the beginning when the AMM is launched, let's say the price of Ethereum is only 1,000, and then the price of Ethereum goes up to 3,000. In order for the AMM to increase the price to 3,000 and then keep it at that level, people must open positions and keep them open. And if they close them, then the price will start to go back down. And so this leads to a situation where it's very easy that a lot of people will, because the price, in order to maintain the price at a high level, then you must open positions and keep those positions open. And so as soon as the funding rate goes positive, some of those long positions will just close, and it's very easy for the funding rate to return to a negative point. And because there are no liquidity providers or market makers who are taking the other side of that trade, then it's very easy to end up in that situation where there's a negative funding and just stay in that situation, which is pretty unusual. So for V2, because there are liquidity providers who are active participants in the market, you will see a situation much more like regular, other exchanges, order book exchanges like FTX.
I understand that the funding rate is in the total position, not in the margin, as I understand. No, it's calculated for all the position that you take, not for the margin that you have. No.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just opened a position, and you can see that this is my total position, and the value is close to 2,000, which puts my overall account leverage at 2x. So the funding rate that I'm earning, I will be earning on this entire amount and not only the margin. That's right.
Okay.
So you can already see I have a small loss, unfortunately, but it's not a big deal. And you'll probably see a loss here because this also takes into account the fee. The fee to trade on Perpetual Protocol is 0.1%, so that's 0.1%. So this does include that fee. Oh, okay, great. I'm in profit now. I should close that quickly. It seems the more I talk, the more profit I make, so I'll just keep going. Also, something which is a little bit confusing for some users is the average open price. This also includes the fee, the trading fee. So if this shows the position details, and if you click on fills, it will show the fill, like the actual trades that were made, including the exact price at which the trade was made, and the fee is shown separately. So the price that you see here will be a little bit different than the price that you see here, and that's due to the fee.
Okay. The funding rate is reflected in some space, or the funding rate that you're paying every hour, or
the funding rate would be shown at the top here, but like I say, it's only an estimate, and the actual funding rate that you'll be paying is per block, so per Ethereum block. So that's basically every few seconds, every 10 to 15 seconds.
And is it reflected in the price? Is reflected in the price, or where is reflected in the profit loss, or not? Or is in the when you close the position?
Yes, it will be displayed in the profit and loss, and it's directly, the funding rate is either paid from or to your account value. So it will be reflected, it will be reflected in the account value.
Perfect.
Let me just go back here. But yeah, like I say, it's important to note that this is just an estimate based on the last hour. And the actual funding rate is paid per block. Now, if you wanted to see your funding history, you can click on the history tab here, and it will show a history of all of your transactions, as well as a history of funding payments. The history will not update. It updates on a few different actions, including like open position, close position, and withdraw. So if I click on this card here and withdraw something, like even a very tiny amount, like if you wanted to see how much funding you paid, you could just withdraw a very small amount and it would update the funding.
The history, if the funding rate, if positive or negative, I understand that negative is based to you, or it's the same in the same concept of minus and or
yes. Not? Yeah, so a negative funding rate means it's paid to you. So like okay. this funding, these two funding rates are I received this amount, and here if it's a positive number, then I paid this amount.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So I think if I close my position, then I will see the funding rate, but it will take a little bit of time to update. But I'll just close the position now to show how to do it. So when you close the position, it will give you the overview of the summary of what you're about to do. Unfortunately, I missed the chance to earn that $2. That's too bad. Luckily, Optimism is pretty quick. It usually takes me longer to use my hardware wallet than it does to actually process the trade. So there, it's finished. Finally, my computer updated. Okay. So I close the position, and eventually it will maybe, oh no, okay, it's there right away. So you can see actually just in those few minutes, I did actually earn some funding. Okay. Less than 1 cent, but it's okay. Yeah. Can offset my loss a little bit. So one final thing I'll mention is for each market, you can see the market trades. And these are all of the trades that are being processed by yourself and other users, other traders. And if you click on the time, it will show you the it'll show you the Etherscan for Optimism and show you the exact trade that happened. And the actual trades happen on Uniswap v3. So every time you make a trade on Perpetual Protocol, the actual exchange that's occurring is occurring on Uniswap v3, which is an essential part of the mechanism that we use for our Perpetual Protocol v2. And we think that's a pretty special feature and really highlights the composability of DeFi. And also, it's a major advantage for us because any other project that is working with Uniswap v3, like for liquidity provider, automated liquidity provision, or anything that's integrating with Uniswap v3 can pretty easily also integrate with us if it makes sense to do so. And so that's a major advantage that we have. So finally, I'll just cover very briefly the pools features. So far we've been looking at just regular trading features, but we also do have pools for liquidity providing. Now, as I mentioned before at the very beginning of this discussion, providing liquidity on Perpetual Protocol is similar to providing liquidity on Uniswap v3, but there are some important differences. And because of that, we really highly recommend that you learn more about it before you start. Come to our Discord and ask some questions or check out our documentation. This will help you a lot to understand like the risks and possible rewards of providing liquidity. So you can see that like the APR can be pretty high, but also can be pretty low. Also, the opportunities for impermanent loss and other types of loss are a little bit more complicated and easier to encounter than on Uniswap v3. So I really highly recommend learning more about it. Don't just start providing liquidity without understanding what you're doing, because it's actually pretty hard to earn money and very easy to lose money. So definitely learn about it before you do so. But in general,
one question about the APR, that it appears like a range of APR. What has your kind of APR? Depend this range that you will get from the pools.
Okay, That's a very excellent question, and I should have covered that. So thanks for asking. The range, first I'll mention that we have a liquidity mining going on right now. So that's why you see two different types of APR. So these would be combined together in terms of the rewards that you would get. Now the actual range refers to the, because we're using Uniswap v3, when you place your liquidity, you will actually place your liquidity at a certain price range. So if you place your liquidity across the entire range of prices, effectively the same as Uniswap v2, then you could expect to earn the lower APR. And if you put all of your liquidity in the currently active range, then you could earn up to this much higher APR. Of course, if you put your liquidity all in the current price range, then it's very likely that the price will leave that price range and you will no longer be earning any fees. So you have to keep that in mind when you're providing.
What is this trading rate? What are the trading rates of this 4,400 APR? Where is this trade range?
That would be at the 3,083. This amount at the mark price. So I'll just show you. If I click on Add Liquidity, then I can choose the price range. So if I choose full range, then I will be earning that 9.2. But if I chose a much smaller range, like, I don't know if I'll be able to actually choose. Oh, yeah, okay. That didn't work. Because it's based on... Interesting. Okay. We will eventually add this ability to, like on Uniswap v3, when you want to adjust the range, you can just click on some up and down arrows. That makes it a little bit easier to pick the price range. So it looks like this is the smallest range I can choose that's currently active. And I'm not sure exactly if this price range will get you that 418% APR. I sort of think it won't. I think the way the UI works is it chooses a range of a certain size, and it's not the actual smallest possible range, but I'm not really sure. So I'd have to double check that for you. But basically, if you choose the smallest possible range, then you will have the highest possible APR. But at the same time, of course, since it's a very small range, then it's pretty likely that the price of ETH or price of whatever asset will leave that range. And once it leaves the range, then you will not be earning any fees. So it is better to choose a little bit wider range, depending on the, your trading strategy and so on. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, perfect. It's on the. So what are the, so when you are liquidity, what are the typical positions that you are right now seeing in your platform? People, what are the range that people select, or where do you see the more range that makes more sense to open?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me just, we can actually look, we range on directly on our platform. But what you can do is actually go to Uniswap and check out, like, let's say I'm looking now at the ETH pool, and if I click on liquidity, it should show where everybody is putting their liquidity. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can see most people are putting it in the price range that's like right around the ETH price, and then a little bit wider. And finally, there's some people who have got it, looks like across basically the entire range of prices.
How did you go to this tool? Because
yeah, that's a great question.
Because it's very interesting.
We don't provide the link to this tool directly, but I think, let's see.
Okay.
If you type in B and the asset, then
It's
I think it will
perpetual markets, no? Okay.
Yeah, so this is the current liquidity provision for Luna, for example. So I'm looking at this directly on Uniswap, info.uniswap.org. Hopefully, at some point, we will provide a link to this. I think that would be, definitely a feature that I'll suggest to our development team, because I know a lot of people will want to see this before they start providing liquidity, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think as far as I know, we have a plan to show this information directly, but it might be quicker just to link to Uniswap itself, since they provide this information already and people can see it there directly. But sometimes people want to see it all in one site. They don't want to leave and go to another site. So I'm not sure exactly what our design team will decide for that. But if you have any suggestions, then we're definitely open to whatever you think is you would prefer, and we can take that into consideration.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess not all. I'm actually surprised. I think it takes Uniswap maybe a little bit of time to show different assets.
Show the data. Yes, probably that is the point.
I see the Soluna VAX, this new index. I don't know if you've heard of this.
No.
This is the new index from SET protocol that actually just launched today, if I'm not mistaken, or very recently. And actually, the idea is it's an index of, as you can guess, Solana, Luna, and AVAX. And the actual underlying sort of mechanism that this uses is based on Perpetual Protocol.
Okay.
So they are opening positions on Perpetual Protocol to back this index. So that's one of the first partners to integrate with us, and we're pretty excited about that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if you want to get exposure to some different L1s, but you don't want to actually buy those individual tokens, then this might be a good option.
Yeah, true.
All right, so that's about all I have to show for the demo. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Okay, so really thank you very much. It's very, very insightful, all the presentation. So about the pools, that I think is probably one of the most that people is asking. I will say you. I understand that the profitability depends on the volume, no? Because the fees. What are the fees? In order to understand better, how is accruing value these pools?
Yes, exactly. So it depends on the volume, and as I mentioned a little bit earlier, when you make a trade on Perpetual Protocol, you'll pay a 0.1% fee, and 90% of that fee goes to the liquidity providers, and 10% of the fee goes to the insurance fund. So when you're a liquidity provider on Perpetual Protocol, you're essentially earning that 0.09% on every trade that happens, as long as your liquidity is in range of the current price. So that's where the fees are coming from.
Okay, and what do you see? Well, I see some projects like Visor, or like Charm. Are you really planning to do, because probably the people who is providing liquidity in this platform, Perpetual, probably one of the more profitable ones is to move the rates, no? What are you really expecting from that? There will be any tools, any pool? What do you expect, or what are you the strategy that you think people are right now doing?
Yeah, we are actually talking with a lot of different projects like Visor and Charm. We're talking to both of these, and there's another one called Tea House that we're partnering with. So all of these different projects, they're working on integrating with Perpetual Protocol as well. and we hope that they'll be able to launch sometime in the near future. So using those protocols, you'll be able to have an automated liquidity provision strategy where you just put in your money and you put your money in their pool, and their pool will be automatically managed to be in the most lucrative and most profitable position. If it's up, whether it's updated every few hours or once a day. So I think maybe right now we're at the stage where they are sort of researching and making sure that they have strategies that they can be sure that are profitable, because obviously you don't want to put your money in if it's not going to earn a profit. But as far as I know, we're partnering with a lot of those different projects, including Visor and Charm, and we're looking forward to. And there's another one called Popsicle Finance as well.
Yeah.
So all of these are, we're in discussion with them, and we hope that at some point users will be able to use those platforms to basically take advantage of automated liquidity providing that way.
The other thing is when you are you have a provided liquidity and the price goes outside of the range, Perpetual creates like a position, no? Like a future, like a position. So can you explain a little bit that, because it's different, no? In some way, in the other side, in version 3, you get all of one of the two stocks or the two assets that you have in the pool, but in Perpetual it's quite different, no? You have like a active position in that, no? Or
yeah, actually, it is still quite similar to providing liquidity, for example, on Uniswap, where let's say initially you put in half of USDC and half of whatever other asset. And if the price goes down, then you end up with all of the asset, or if the price goes up, then you end up with all USDC. So it's pretty much the same on Perpetual Protocol. Actually, as soon as you put in the liquidity and the price changes a little bit, you will notice you already have a position. And basically that's what that represents, is that you have sold a little bit or bought a little bit, depending on whether the price moved up or down. And if you remove your liquidity, then that position will essentially become like a regular position that you open as a regular trader. So we have sort of a special term for this called an impermanent position. So if you put in liquidity and the price goes up or down, you end up with this impermanent position. And if you wait and the price returns to the same point at which you added liquidity, then that impermanent position essentially goes back to zero, and you could withdraw your funds without any impermanent loss. Like I say, so if you remove your liquidity, then any amount that was bought or sold in the meantime will be represented as just a regular position. We call that a permanent position. It's just a regular position that, as though you had opened it as a regular trader.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so to finish this amazing tutorial, thank you very much for your help. What are the things that we have as Perpetual user we have to be or to be waiting for, or what can we do in the next things, the new things that you are going to propose, competition? What are the next things that you have to take a view?
Yeah, well, we just wrapped up the trading competition. So unfortunately, anyone who's interested in that will have to wait for the next one. But something that we have coming up is like a major part of our marketing strategy right now is the referral program. And we've been running the referral program for almost a year, but there have been many changes during this time. And we have like some dedicated team members working on the referral program. So there's going to be some really interesting news coming out regarding that for promoting the referral program. So if you're one of the referral partners, which I believe you are.
Yes, we are.
Then there should be some interesting news coming out with that in terms of marketing. So look forward to that. And like I say, partnerships. So other, more and more, we expect more and more different projects to start partnering with us, or rather to launch the integrations that they've been working on. Like our business development team has been in discussion with many different projects over the last 6 months, and finally some of them are starting to have a finished product that they're ready to launch. That Solunavax, which sounds a bit like a vaccine product. The index is sort of the first project to use Perpetual Protocol in there as an integration, and we expect to see a lot more of those in the near future. I can't remember if there's any that are coming out right away. I forget exactly, but there's definitely some coming up. So keep an eye on our Twitter for that. The multi-collateral, that's sort of the next major feature that we're building. So that should be we're hoping it can be out this quarter, but it's possible that will be delayed. It'll go into the next quarter. Of course, we have to. The number one priority for our project is always security and safety. So all of the contracts that are designed have to be audited, and we have 2 different auditing companies that check over all the code, as well as doing internal testing. So things do take time, but we're really looking forward to that feature. And finally, it's sort of escaped my mind suddenly. What's the other thing? Yeah, I can't remember all of a sudden.
Yeah. Don't worry, we will follow all the Twitter and all the activity in the Discord in the set. So don't worry.
All right, sounds good. Sorry, it's a bit late here, so I'm forgetful.
So thank you very much for staying with us so late. Really, really appreciate it. We really have a powerful community here in Spain of Perpetual, so we will continue this. We will translate it. Real fans say when will be Silo in production? It's a question. Silo? No. I have a question.
Okay, sorry, hold on. Is that a DeFi token of some kind?
No.
Let's have a look.
Anyway.
Okay,
Probably we will really ask the question to him, real fan. Okay.
Yeah. Well, if it's I see it is a crypto project of some kind. I'm not actually familiar with it, but for sure, if you have a token that you want us to list, okay.
Lending. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess there's 2 possibilities. One would be that they somehow integrate with us, or we launch the Silo token market. And so both of these have potential to happen. If there's some token that you want to be able to trade, definitely come to our Discord. Let us know. The more we know that there's interest in trading this thing, then the higher the chance of us launching that. So definitely come and let us know, and we'll be glad to put it into consideration. Right now, all of the token listings are decided on by the token listing DAO, which is a DAO, sort of a sub-DAO inside of Perpetual Protocol, composed of community members. They're definitely open to any proposal that you have for listing a token.
Okay, so anyway, thank you very much, Lee. You don't want to, you are so tired. Thank you very much for really accepting our invitation, and we stay in touch to see what is coming in from Perpetual.
Well, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much, Jesus, and it's always really great talking to you, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Okay, very much, Lee. Thank you.
Okay, take care.